Let's get started with our first news. Tom Aspinall finally came face-to-face with Sarl Gaines coach Fernand Lopez after the UFC 3021 press conference, and the moment quickly grabbed attention online. For more than a year, Aspinall has been publicly accusing Gaines of avoiding him, pointing to multiple occasions where he believes the UFC offered the fight and it never materialized. Lopez, on the other hand, has always pushed back hard against those claims, dismissing Aspinall's comments as nothing more than whining and even labeling them annoying. The tension between the two sides finally came to a head backstage, when Aspinall decided to approach Lopez directly. Tom later posted the footage of the entire interaction on his social media, showing fans exactly how the conversation went down. At the start, the mood was tense, with Aspinall pressing Lopez about why the fight had never been made. Lopez insisted that from his perspective, the UFC never once mentioned Aspinall's name as an option for Gaines before the Manchester card. He swore that as far as he knew, there was never any offer on the table. "I swear to God," Lopez said, "I was asking journalists, even asking around, and Dana never once mentioned your name before Manchester. That was the first time." Aspinall pushed back, saying that from his side, things looked completely different. He explained that to him and his team, the UFC had brought up Gaines' name more than once, including before Manchester, and then again when the event actually took place. Aspinall made it clear that he wasn't inventing stories for the media, or trying to make Gaines' camp look bad. "I would never just make something up," he said. "I'm telling you the truth from our perspective. If it looks different for you, fine. But from where we're standing, the fight was offered more than once." The two went back and forth in a surprisingly calm and respectful way, each repeating their version of events. Lopez kept saying that no official offer ever reached him or Gaines, while Aspinall doubled down on what he and his team had heard from the UFC. After a few minutes, both men began to acknowledge that there might simply be a difference in how the information was communicated. What mattered most was that neither of them was deliberately lying. Eventually, the conversation turned more positive. Lopez told Aspinall that there was no bad blood, and that if the fight gets made, it will be great for both men. Aspinall agreed, saying, "We love to fight, man. We're going to fight, and it's going to be good." He even admitted that he didn't want Lopez thinking he was making things up to stir the pot or create unnecessary drama. He just wanted to clear the air and share his side honestly. By the end of the exchange, the tension had faded, and the two shook hands. It was a moment of respect between rivals, showing that while both sides may see the situation differently, they share the same goal: stepping into the octagon and putting on a fight that fans will never forget. Aspinall walked away with the reassurance that he had said his piece, while Lopez left knowing the air had been cleared. The footage ended with both men smiling, promising that when the fight finally happens, it will be something special. Before moving to the next news, we have one quick request for you. We're constantly working on improving our content to earn your love and support. That's why we'd truly appreciate it if you could take just a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Move on to another news. The mastermind behind Alex Volkanovski's preparation for Islam, the man who crafted the blueprint that nearly shocked the world, just dropped some serious insight during a sit-down with Submission Radio. Eugene Behrman, the head coach of City Kickboxing, covered a wide range of hot topics, and the MMA world is buzzing over what he had to say. He started off by giving an update on Israel Adesanya's future, and his words carried weight. According to Behrman, Izzy only has a couple of fights left in him before calling it a career. He explained that at this stage, Adesanya doesn't have anything left to prove, and the fights he takes moving forward will be for fun. That means potential matchups against guys like Paulo Costa or Sean Strickland, fights that fans will enjoy but ones that will also allow Izzy to finish his legendary career on his own terms. From there, Behrman shifted gears and spoke about Dan Hooker. There's been speculation about Hooker possibly facing off with Usman, and while nothing is official yet, Behrman was confident in his fighter. He said Dan has every tool needed to beat Usman, emphasizing that Hooker's skill set is more than capable of getting the job done. If that fight happens, it could be career-changing for Hooker. A win over Usman would put him right in line for a title shot, a huge moment considering how stacked the lightweight division is right now. For Usman, who many believe is stuck in a strange lightweight limbo with the UFC struggling to book him meaningful fights, This would also be massive. A fight between Hooker and Usman is the type of clash that could shake up the entire division. But the boldest comments came when Bearman turned his attention to JDM and a potential showdown with Islam. As the coach who prepared Volk for 2 battles with Islam, he knows the ins and outs of that matchup better than anyone, and Bearman made it clear he believes there's a blueprint to beat Islam, and JDM has the tools to follow it. He reminded fans that Islam has been knocked out before, and that in his opinion Volk already beat him. That might stir debate, but Bearman stood firm, saying the evidence is out there. He broke it down further, explaining that Islam is excellent at picking opponents off with single shots. He's composed, technical, and precise with 1 strike at a time. But the key is forcing him into situations where he needs to throw combinations. When Islam is pressured into putting together 2 or 3 punches, that's when his vulnerabilities appear, that's when the openings present themselves, and that's where someone like JDM can capitalize. According to Bearman, Islam is less comfortable when he's forced to fight round by round instead of controlling with his usual game. The goal, he said, is to make Islam fight for every moment, to drag him into exchanges where he's not just dictating the pace but being pushed into a battle. Of course, Bearman also gave respect to Islam's team, acknowledging that they are extremely smart and will be well aware of these details. Still, he made it clear that JDM, being one of their own, has the potential to expose those weaknesses if the fight ever happens. For now, it remains speculation, but these comments have lit up the MMA community. Between Adesanya's looming retirement, Hooker's possible clash with Usman, and the tantalizing idea of JDM taking on Islam, City Kickboxing and their fighters are once again at the center of the conversation. Move on to another news. Floyd Mayweather has finally reacted to the buzz surrounding Mike Tyson's return to the ring, and in classic Mayweather fashion, he made sure to remind the world why he's still at the top. With the news breaking and fans immediately weighing in, Mayweather dropped a video message, and it carried his signature confidence. He said, "I'm pretty sure I'd be upset too if I was somebody else. I'd be mad at Mayweather too. How for 29 years, almost 30 years, do you keep getting money like this? I'd be mad too. I'd be hating on Mayweather too. Continue to hate." He doubled down, making it clear that people only talk about winners and he's a winner. "So continue to talk," he added, showing no signs of letting outside noise affect him. He then started flexing, pointing out the lifestyle that he's built for himself. "See, I'm borrowing your crocodile bones, Himalayan phones, crocodile bags. This my life, man. Keep hate." It was vintage Mayweather, equal parts arrogance and entertainment, reminding his critics that while they talk, he's still living in luxury. And of course, Floyd couldn't help but throw in one of his famous analogies. He said the NFL might have just kicked off, but for him, boxing has always been his own football. "This my football green. My gloves is green." It was a clever way of linking his never-ending success with money, because for Mayweather, the fight game has always been about the color green. Once again, Floyd Mayweather reminded everyone why he's one of the most polarizing figures in combat sports history. Whether you love him or hate him, he always finds a way to stay in the spotlight, and with Mike Tyson making headlines, Mayweather just made sure his name stays right there in the conversation. Move on to another news. Kamaru Usman is making it clear that he wants a shot at the welterweight title, and he's not holding back. The former champion still sees himself as one of the biggest names in the division, and he believes the UFC knows that too. During a recent discussion with Henry Cejudo, when the topic came up about how stacked the welterweight division currently is with fighters like Ian Gary, Shavkat Rakhmonov, and Shawn Brady, Kamaru brushed it all off. He made it clear that he's not worried about the traffic in the division. He knows he's coming off a strong performance, and he believes his name value alone makes him the most logical choice for the next big fight. From his perspective, the UFC is always looking to make the biggest fights possible, and no matter how many contenders are climbing, he still stands above them all. He said that if JDM successfully defends his title against Islam, then who better than him to test the new generation of champions? For Kamaru, a fight against JDM wouldn't just be another matchup. It would be a way to solidify JDM as the real deal by putting him against the former pound-for-pound king of the division. Usman said, "If JDM defends and wins that title against Islam, what better way to show he's the new generation of champion than to face the biggest name, the former pound-for-pound #1 in the division? Of course, that's me." On the other side, if Islam were to win, Kamaru sees that as an even bigger opportunity. That fight would be pound for pound versus pound for pound, and in his eyes, it would be a true super fight. Even if Usman admits he's slightly past his prime, he believes the magnitude of that showdown would be undeniable. He isn't stressing about whether the UFC will give him the opportunity because in his words, he has already proven himself. He has shown time and time again that he can hang with the very best, and he believes the fans still want to see him in the spotlight. Usman also addressed the reality of the division moving quickly. He admitted that if he doesn't get the next title shot, he'll need to fight soon because things are shifting fast at 770 pounds. With Leon Edwards set to face Carlos Prates and Shavkat Rakhmonov lined up against Belal Muhammad, according to Belal's close friend and commentator John Anik, the division is filled with dangerous matchups and rising stars, but despite all of that, Kamaru remains confident that he is the fight that makes the most sense for the winner of Islam versus JDM. For him, the formula is simple. The UFC wants the biggest fights, the fans want to see the biggest names, and he still sees himself as the man to deliver. Whether it's Islam for a pound-for-pound battle or JDM to test the next generation, Kamaru Usman is ready, and he's putting his name right back in the title conversation. Move on to another news. Shawn Brady has officially put his name forward for a fight that could shake up the entire welterweight division, and he's aiming directly at Belal Muhammad. Brady, who has been steadily climbing the ranks and proving himself as a serious contender, is calling for a rematch against the man who handed him the only loss of his professional MMA career. That fight came back at UFC 280 in Abu Dhabi, where Belal scored a dominant TKO victory. Since then, Brady has rebuilt his momentum, stacking up wins and positioning himself as one of the division's most dangerous rising threats. Now with both men near the top of the rankings, the timing feels right for revenge. During a recent episode of the Brady Bag Show on YouTube, which he co-hosts with Joe Pfeiffer, Brady spoke passionately about why this rematch makes perfect sense. He explained that he's pushing for the fight to take place at UFC 32 inside the legendary Madison Square Garden. For Brady, MSG represents the perfect stage for a high-stakes rematch. He admitted that Belal's recent loss creates the ideal backdrop, making the fight even more appealing for fans and the UFC alike. Brady emphasized that he and Belal share a strong backstory, and running it back now would provide an opportunity to settle unfinished business on the grandest stage possible. Brady made his case clearly, saying that Belal is currently ranked number 1 in the division while he himself holds the number 2 spot. That creates the kind of matchup that fans in the UFC love. A true clash of top contenders with major title implications. Brady pointed out that if Belal were to win again, it would immediately put him right back in the title picture after his recent setback. On the other hand, if Brady were to come out on top, there would be no denying him a long-awaited shot at UFC gold. In his words, "I know he beat me, but it makes more sense now. He's number 1, I'm number 2. If he beats me, he's back in the title picture. If I beat him, you can't deny me my title shot after that." That confidence, paired with his recent winning streak, has created a wave of buzz around Brady's call-out. He sees himself as the fighter with the momentum, while Belal is coming off a loss and looking for redemption. That combination sets up a storyline that the UFC could easily market, and Brady seems determined to make it happen before the year ends. He specifically highlighted MSG as his dream location, but made it clear he'd be happy to face Belal anywhere, as long as the fight gets booked. As of now, it remains uncertain whether Belal will accept the challenge. But one thing is certain, Shawn Brady is no longer content to sit back and wait for opportunities to come his way. He's ready to step up, ready to prove himself, and ready to erase the only blemish on his otherwise near-perfect record by taking out the man who beat him once before. This rematch, if it happens, could determine the next big player in the welterweight division. Move on to another news. Dana White has officially pulled the plug on a major fight at the very last minute, and the news came early in the morning ahead of the UFC Paris card. What was supposed to be an exciting matchup between Patricio Pitbull and Las Queta has been cancelled due to weight management issues. Queta failed to make weight on the eve of his UFC debut, and he addressed the situation publicly on X. In his statement, he admitted, "For the first time in 25 fights, I failed to make weight, and it had to happen on my UFC debut. I wanted to continue and would have given everything to make weight, but my body didn't want it. I sincerely apologize to all my fans. I will be back like every time I fall in life." Naturally, Patricio Pitbull was furious with the development. For him, this wasn't just another paycheck. As he said directly to the UFC, "At this stage, I don't fight for money anymore. I fight for legacy. And I won't give this guy that advantage." Pitbull explained that Quetta weighed in at 9:00 a.m. and was already over the limit. Instead of trying until 11:00 a.m., which was the official cutoff time, Pitbull claims Quetta was casually eating baby food. Clearly frustrated, Pitbull told fans that if they want to place blame, they should place it directly on his opponent. He even mocked him, saying, "Black Panther, he's Fat Panther." Pitbull then went to X himself, posting another statement. He wrote, "I did my part, but my opponent didn't do his. I was called on short notice, traveled, dealt with jet lag, and still made weight. My opponent was at home, had 3 more hours to try, and chose not to. I really would like to fight on the UFC Rio card. I'll face anyone who makes weight." To add insult to injury, Pitbull posted a fat Black Panther image with the Pink Panther theme song attached, though of course we can't show or play that due to copyright. This cancellation is a big blow to the UFC Paris card, which fans had been eagerly waiting for. It's disappointing not to see Pitbull make his highly anticipated appearance, especially given the amount of sacrifice he made to prepare. Despite the setback, Pitbull has already made it clear that he's ready to bounce back, eager for another opportunity and hungry to prove himself on the next available card. While the fight is off, the rest of the UFC Paris event still moves forward, with the main card set to begin at 3:00 p.m. Eastern Time. This cancellation may sting, but the night promises plenty of action for fight fans around the world.